Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you're perfect.
So really, we grew steadily for a couple of years, but then the time came when we needed to move on from the warehouse. The guy who was letting us use it was very generous, but it was time for us to move on. And so there we were, this kind of fledgling little church needing a home. And we had this extraordinary experience of God leading us into the building where we're at now.
We looked at so many different buildings of every shape and size, and there was one particular church that was on the market, and we got very excited about it. And I think we both felt that this was going to be our church home, but then their sale fell through, and so it came out of the picture, which was very sad. But then months later, I just turned to Al one day and I said, whatever happened to Pastor James and that church on McClintock Road? And Al said to me, that's funny, I've been thinking about that too. And he goes into work, sees Matt Hemsley, who'd come out from England with us, and Matt says, Al, whatever happened to Pastor James and that church on McClintock Road? So then you go and
So the funny thing about that was, I'm like, okay, how many times do I need the Lord to tell me where to go? So I called Pastor James and said, hey, can I come and meet with you? And we had a coffee.
Yeah.
And I had this little spiel lined up that I was going to say to him. I was going to pitch him, hey, do you think we could just use a room? So I said to him, hey, do you think we could just use a room here during the week? And he goes, sure, how else can we help you? So I said, well, do you think we could maybe meet here during the week in the evenings? And he goes, sure, how else can I help you? So I said, okay, well, any chance we could meet here on a Sunday morning? And he goes, sure, let's talk about it.
It was amazing.
And so it was amazing. And the funny thing was, prior to that, Nikki and I had both, because we'd seen the church maybe 6 months before, and we'd stood on the steps and we'd looked out over Veterans Park, and we both independently felt the Lord say to us, this is where we're going to plant you, and this is where you're going to put down roots. And we, because it hadn't really looked that way to us, we'd kind of just moved on. But when Pastor James said that to us, we were like, oh my gosh, God is so faithful.
Yeah.
So we moved in.
With
them, we shared the building for 4 amazing years. And we had, they were just very kind to us. Our service was at 11:30 in the morning, which
They moved from 10:30 to 9:30,
Yep.
and we went to 11:30.
So service was at 11:30 in the morning, which is not
Not
ideal,
great.
particularly during Panthers season. But the blessing of it was, the Lord uses all things, doesn't he? It really meant that the people who came really wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And that enabled us to build a church. It was like really for the first time, the church really started to form, because the people that were there wanted to be there. We were able to start life groups, we were able to start growing and doing different things and putting teams together. And the church really started to take shape and form.
Yeah, and that's when we started doing coffee outside, because Greater Fellowship have a tendency to run a little long in their services, and so we would gather outside and do coffee. And again, that was just another way where the community was just going deeper and stronger. So it was a good
nice.
time.
It was nice. And on those Sundays where James went along, I used to go in and stand at the back and go, come on, man.
He'd be mid-flow.
He would be rocking. But also, in the way we did church, we had almost nothing in common. So they would sit for worship, we would stand for worship. They would have a choir, we would have a band. They would walk to the front for their collection, and we'd pass the thing. And so there was almost everything different, except our combined love of the Lord.
Yeah.
So one of the best things that we did during our time with them is we would do combined services, and they were always just great times of fellowship for everyone. And one of the things that I remember so vividly that was so amazing was, of course, they would dress up very smartly on Sunday, and of course here at City Church we're kind of very relaxed, more casual.
Yeah.
And so in the weeks leading up to our combined service, I said to everyone, now listen, this is Greater Fellowship, so let's honor and respect them by dressing up. Let's go as smart as we can, and we'll honor them. And so then the day came, and everyone started to arrive, and all these City Church people, I hardly recognized them, they're in their jackets and ties. And then of course all the Greater Fellowship folk turn up, and they're all in jeans and t-shirts. And the truth was both of us had changed to honor the other, and it was really a beautiful model of fellowship.